I'm going to read to you an excerpt from Herding the Moo as told by Joe Smith. I'm going to have to read this from right out of the book because if I were to say this stuff without citing a source, you would swear that I was being racist. You would think that I was trying to put down all members of an ethnic group and all people from that ethnic group who teach a martial art. But I'm not. I'm not at all. What I am saying is, well, what I do think is just what this guy outlines in the text I'm going to read to you. Just what he outlines in here shows you, and I hate to say that it would work, but it shows you exactly how you could set up a scam martial arts front. Okay, the best money-making scam ever. I'm not going to read it directly because I'm not going to read out the name of the school, okay? But I'm going to paraphrase what I'm going through here. All right, so to open up a fake martial arts school, you have to have a fake, phony-sounding name, and he gives a list of names that are, that are names that do sound like they would be a style, but they're not. And if you Google these names, they would come up as styles, but it's a cult, it's a con. So that should give you a hint who it is. Okay. Because the rent and strip malls is cheap, and you're going to basically get a high return off of a low investment. All the stuff that you need to make the place look authentic, you can kind of borrow secondhand. Okay. Now this part I'm going to read word for word, just part of it. Get a Korean to be front man, and any Korean will do. Okay. I'm going to stop there because the rest of the stuff just sounds kind of racist. But if you have somebody that is of Asian descent as the front person for your business, people out of their own racism are going to believe that the martial art is authentic because it's all Asian. Now, because there are some people out there who are just so racist, the person's ethnicity doesn't even have to directly match up with the style that the country comes from. You could probably get away with having a Chinese person pretend to be Japanese and teach judo. And people will say, well, that makes it authentic. Even though I'm sure there are people in China that do judo. There are people in Africa that do judo. There are people that do judo all over the world. There are white people who practice knocking and kicking. That would be good. It'd be just like if a white guy wanted to open up a school teaching African martial arts, and the African people or black Americans probably would look at the white guy and go, he can't know what he's talking about because he's white. Never mind either his skill or teaching credentials. Just because he's white, they're going, oh, he can't possibly teach this black style, even if he learned from the black masters. So then what he'd have to do is, if he's trying to con people, or sadly, even if he's just trying to work with people, is to get somebody from the ethnic group that you say the martial art comes from to be the front person. Okay, so let's move on to what's next. And again, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to read everything directly because I'm just not. Then you won't get the book. Okay, so basically, at this point, you want to use high-pressure sales tactics and charge extraordinary prices. Mix in some stuff that comes from the military. Oh, he says the branch too. And that's the branch. I was in that branch, and that's exactly what people want for their faux military experience. Mixing some standard exercises in with some faux military training. Oh, I like this part. You get basically some meatheads as your first victims, some people who are unintelligent as your first victims, but thugs, so they'll feel tough and empowered, and have them be basically your heavies for dealing with the people you're going to take advantage of later. Oh, this is good. Now, somebody else said this too. Paint your establishment with like fake characters from any East Asian language, because the people that actually know what the characters look like will just laugh, know it's a scam, and keep walking. The people that can actually read those languages. Other people who just want to fetishize the martial arts experience so they can do something they think is Asian, they'll automatically assume it's authentic. And that'll help hook them in more. Okay? Start off your prices a little steep, but, not too bad. And then as you go up the ranks, you charge more, and you charge more, and you charge more. Okay? So let me see what else. No, that's what they're saying there. That's basically what you do. Let's see. And you get, okay, and then what you do is you get the people that you want to take advantage of to volunteer their services for you for free, making them feel like the hard work is going to make them better at the martial arts. Okay, this part right here I've highlighted. You basically want to prey on people. Now, I'm not reading directly, I'm paraphrasing. You're going to prey on people that don't have a lot of friends, people who are insecure, but have a lot of money, or their family has money. And this part is really low. Taking advantage of the elderly, because sometimes as people get older, they get lonely because everyone they knew that when they were young has either moved away or moved on or sadly passed away. So you're taking advantage of this human need for connection and charging people for it by taking advantage of people who, for whatever reason, are having trouble fitting in socially or don't have a large social circle. So they have to have a shallow social circle, but deep pockets. And then you make up a ranking system. And you just the more rank they want, the more you make them pay. Say that your martial art is 15,000 years old. Apparently, according to this guy's research, the number 15,000 is the one that makes people come up out of their pockets. Oh, yep, here we go. Make sure you style bash. Bash all other styles all the time. Bash them. Bash them. Don't do like I do. And, I tell people that, there's good stuff in this style, and there's good stuff in this other style, and there's good stuff in this other style. And if somebody, and I'll honestly do this, if somebody lives near an instructor I know about and I think they're good, I'll say, well, why don't you just go to so-and-so, Like, especially when I was running my judo club, I used to tell people, like, why don't you go to College Park Judo? Why don't you go to College Park Judo? I mean, they're right there. But it's usually just because they just couldn't fit into their schedule. That's why they're looking at me. Same thing with, like, Taekwondo and Tang Soo Do people. Sadly, everybody I know that was doing Taekwondo is not teaching anymore. Anyway. So let's see. Oh, put some really cool looking stuff on their belts so they can feel important. That's good. Oh, and this is the real ultimate swindler mind trick. You can open up a school or have them open up a storefront or school for you. And if the school fails, which is probably just going to be sink or swim just based by luck because you're using these horrible manipulative business practices. If it fails, you blame it on the person you're taking advantage of so they feel bad, so they won't look at you as the problem. Okay, and in this last part here, he gives the name of the website. But see, I will say the name of the book, though. This is from Herding the Moo. The full title is Herding the Moo, Exploits of a Martial Arts Cult, Legend of the Upside Down King. And the author just has a moniker of Joe Smith. But see, this right here, that dovetails with the experiences that I have seen from the outside, because I haven't had the misfortune of being that trapped in a martial arts cult. And I hope I never will. Pray for me, people. I pray I never get sucked into one of those things. Because it seems like it can happen to anybody if they let their guard down. But all you people who... See, a lot of this stuff that people put out on the internet and they think, this is how you tell something's authentic. Because you blah, blah. That's how you tell if something's authentic. Right? And these are the same type of people who would poo-poo me because I'm now saying, well, I have my own style. For Taekwondo, I have my own style. This is a Taekwondo-influenced judo. And they go, because I got my peers to grade me for the 4th degree. And I'm saying, I'll award up to fourth degree just me. If somebody, and I've said this, if somebody were to come across and wanted to work with me, and even said they'd be in my system, but with their experience, if they're a higher rank, for me to test them for a higher rank, I would do me at a higher rank than I have. It would have to be me and other people who are black belts to form a committee so we'd have enough qualifications to grade the person for the higher rank. But as far as I got it set up now, I only grade up the fourth degree because that's all I've achieved. Once I'm up for fifth degree, I'm going to have some other people whose ranks add up to fifth, if there's not a fifth around, who will do it to grade me for that. But people act like I'm doing something wrong for doing that. And part of the reason why I started doing it is, one, I'm on my own anyway. And two, is to help protect people from stuff like that. And especially, I'm like, why should they go through all those kind of changes just for like the lower degrees? I mean, and I'm acting fourth anyway. But, why should people do that? But then I got to realize that's where the money is. Really, the money is not in the very high degrees because very few people make it up very high anyway. Only about 1% of people even make black belt. That's the figure right here people throw around. Only 1% of people make black belt anyway. So you're talking about 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. So really your money, your true money, is with your underbelts, with your people that haven't gotten the black belt yet. That's how you get your money. Now, another part I was reading in this book was where they shortened their time for this cult for the black belt to be a year and a half. Because there are a lot of people that don't want to hear that after a year and a half, if you're doing green belt level after a year and a half, you're doing good. That's probably about as most as you're going to get if you're really good at it. A lot of people after a year and a half might be orange, to be honest, going once or twice a week. But, they get these people in and they convince them that by coming all the time, that's going to make them better, even though that's not necessarily true. Sometimes in martial arts, you have to let things marinate. I've said in another video that I'm going to upload, sometimes you have to grow martial arts. Your training is more like growing a plant than really just trying to build a house real fast. And even if you've ever built a structure, you can't just throw everything up in one day. You have to put your foundation in on the house, and the foundation has to sit and solidify before you put other stuff on top of it. And that has to sit and solidify. But when you start adding your wood and your insulation and everything in the house, that takes time. It can be done quickly. Some structures can be built faster than others with more hours in, but there's still a time element. And your martial arts training is very similar. It's still a time element for your subconscious and your body and your conscious to really adapt to things and make them you. Okay? Make them a part of you. So those are direct cult techniques. And I'm not making them up. That's from someone who has been through it. That's me just looking at this and telling you. But at the same time, like I said, that is what I figured out anyway, that I see people do in schools that are taking advantage of people. I figured out after a while, if I was going to hustle, that would be what I'd have to do. Like if I'd wanted, I'm not going to say too much because somebody's going to take these ideas and do them. When I'm trying to warn people away from them, there's probably one person sitting there right now and go, ooh, let's do this. So let me stop here. Oh, got interrupted. Anyway, this is Cecil Washington from Cecil Real Martial Arts. The soke of the style actually now, or dojunim is the Korean term. Soke, even though I'm not claiming like 10th degree. Got graded for 4th. That's what I'm claiming. 4th. Peace.